The way the trend machine is working right now is things go viral on social media and they don't always make sense, but they happen and they take off really fast. And in this case, there are these funny dolls that look kind of like the monsters from Where the Wild Things Are. If you've read that
Yes.
book, I don't think they're related. And adults are buying them as keychains. There are a lot of different ways to do this, but then attaching the keychain to a vintage handbag, and it's a way to show style. It used to be that toys were for kids and they're marketed to kids, which made a lot of sense in the 90s. But now I think there's a realization that adults are the ones who, hold the purse strings. And if you can get adults leaning into kind of these nostalgic, fuzzy, funny characters, and there's a lot of money to be made there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is this like, I don't know, is it akin to something in the past?
Like a Beanie Baby?
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, with Beanie Babies, there was kind of this idea. I'm sure you remember
Hello
that it was
Kitty?
an
I don't know. Hello Kitty, maybe?
Yeah, they made you think Beanie Babies were in short supply. So in the launch of eBay, really made Beanie Babies take off. There's something a little bit different here. They aren't necessarily collector's items. It's just, adults are looking for a little joy and they're finding it in these stuffed animals that might cost, $20, $30 a pop.
Yeah, it's kind of like an affordable luxury or something to make you kind of smile, laugh. I don't know.
The Bloomberg standard for
what?
the plural of Labubu is Labubus.
Labubus?
Yeah, Labubus.
Like I fell, I got a Labubu.
I guess you could say that.
I got to tell you, one of the things I really love are Bombas socks. So I'm going to do full transparency. You guys have a stock. Bombas sock moguls are on track to reach $500 million in sales. Tell us about this. This was a Shark Tank company, wasn't it, too?
That's right. A lot of people say it was the most successful Shark Tank launch ever. They went on in 2014 and inked a deal. So this was a fun story to edit because half the people I talked to love Bombas socks, wear Bombas socks, and half of them had no idea what we were talking about. So it felt like we were, really capturing a company, as it's up and coming. And so these are these socks that are they're very cushiony. They come in great colors. They're well made, and they're much more expensive than your average sock. You might buy a pair.
Yes, they are expensive.
Yeah, or even a pair of compression socks for $40. I know I often buy them in a 6-pack, and suddenly I'm shelling out $100 a pop. So way more than your white tube socks you might be used to. But the argument here is better quality. The company also has a generous donation program where every time you buy a pair of socks,
that. I've actually given.
Donates.
Right. I'm sorry, I interrupted. They give it to.
Unhoused people across the U.S. And so since then, since they launched the company, they've also rolled out T-shirts and slippers and underwear, and those also have a match policy. So it's not just socks they're donating, but the whole company came about because the co-founders, Dave Heath and Randy Goldberg, read online that socks were the #1 thing requested in homeless shelters. So they decided to lean into that and use that as a reason to start a company.
It's a really great thing.
Carol and I spoke to Damon John in early July, late June, and he said that this was his most successful Shark Tank investment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the founder said that one of the things that Damon John did that was so helpful is he came in and just helped them kind of get rid of ideas. I think they had so many ideas, but socks were doing really, really well. And so they have since launched other things, but there were some lines that the co-founders were trying out, things like sweatpants and sweatshirts that I'm sure would have been comfy and great. But I think with that advice, they pared some of that back. So they have a much more tailored line now, and it's doing really well.
I gotta say, socks are a thing. My daughter has always been into socks, but I look around the newsroom, people are into socks. All right, Tim, don't look at me.
Absolutely. Much like your Labubus or your Labubai or whatever it is that you're calling them now.
Exactly. Tim has cool socks.
It's a fashion statement. It's something that people notice in an outfit now. And even if you're all dressed the same, you can see people's socks. And I think it really makes a statement.
Speaking of people noticing, J.Crew CEO wants its clothes to regain American cultural clout. Just real quickly, what do we need to know about this story?
Yeah, another really fun story we ran. We had an interview with the CEO, Libby Wadle. She came in right after the company came out of bankruptcy. It was the first major retailer to file for bankruptcy during the COVID-19 pandemic. It came out of bankruptcy that fall. She was brought in. She had been running Madewell, I believe, which is one of the subunits at J.Crew. And she has just had wonderful success since she has come to the helm. For a long time, things sold on jcrew.com were always 40% off, trying to get people to buy. And they've been able to, get rid of a lot of those sales, bring in some really interesting designers, big names. She brought back the print catalog, which is something that was killed almost 8 years ago. But it turns out people still like print when they look at J.Crew clothes. And now she's gone on and inked these really interesting partnerships with USA Swimming and the US ski and snowboard team, which will be tied to the Olympics. So just kind of leaning into that like all Americana nostalgic feel. And it seems to be doing great things for the brand.